Hi class, this is your instructor, Skylar Huff, and this is your review for the final exam. And as you do see there, was going to be a brief conceptual review because the final exam, yes, it will test you on chapters 34 through 37, but please also bear in mind that there will be comprehensive material, by and large, coming from your homework, and a selected cohort of questions coming from, of course, the chapters studied prior to now. To help you out, I'll begin now in the 53rd chapter. You'll find these key concepts I'll be going through very briefly, and I'll go by page. So we're in the 53rd chapter on page 1151, and it will be key concept 53.1, where it says a population can be described in the terms of its density, dispersion, birth and death rates, growth rate, survivorship, and age structure. Please use your notes as a guide to getting to this as you use your textbook. And along with that, I'll use the key concept 53.3, and that says population size may be influenced by density-dependent factors and density-dependent independent factors. So I'll next move over to the 54th chapter. You'll find this on page 1171. Once you get there, I'll go from the 54.1 key concept as it states. A community consists of populations that live in the same place at the same time. So community ecologists focused on questions concerning the number of species, that's richness, the relative abundance of each species, of course, that is species evenness, and the interactions among those species. With that, the resistance to the community to the environmental disturbances, both natural and, of course, man-made. And along with that, we'll go to 53.3, which states that factors that influence community diversity include the number, variety, and abundance of species, and field experiments with plants beginning in the 1990s suggest that more diverse communities have a greater disability or resistance to change, which leads us to, of course, Connell with his intermediate disturbance hypothesis. And lastly, key concept 54.4, with most ecologists think that communities are loose associations of organisms that have similar requirements and therefore live together in the same environment. Following a disturbance, communities undergo succession from pioneer communities to mature communities. So I'll now move on to the 55th chapter on page 1194. So as I get to that page, I'll begin with key concept 55.1. Studying the energy content of the different trophic levels provides insight into how energy flows through the biotic and abiotic components of ecosystems. And along with that, I'll use also key concept 55.2. Carbon, nitrogen, water, and other materials cycle through biotic and abiotic parts of ecosystems. And from here, I'll move on to the 56th chapter, and you'll find that class on page 1216. Upon arriving there, what I'll use there is key concept 56.1. Climate, particularly temperature and precipitation, affects the distribution of Earth's major biomes, such as tropical rainforests and the tundra. And from here, I'll move over to the 57th chapter. And upon getting to the 57th chapter, you find that on page 1241. And once you do arrive there, I'll use key concept 57.1. It states that never before in Earth's history has biodiversity been threatened with mass extinction in such a compressed time period by one species, Homo sapiens. And I'll also use key concept 57.2. Conservation biology is a multidisciplinary science that studies human effects on biodiversity and devises practical solutions to address these effects. And from here, I'll move backwards to the 39th chapter, and upon getting there, I'll be on page 821. So as you get there, I'll begin with that very first key concept 39.1. Cells make up tissues. Various types of tissues make up organs, and tissues and organs work together make up organ systems. And the main types of tissues found in animals are epithelial, connective, muscle, and nervous tissues. With that, I'll pair it with key concept 39.2, and it says homeostatic mechanisms are mainly negative feedback systems that maintain a relatively stable internal environment. And from here, I'll move back even further to page 628, And upon arriving to page 628, we'll be in, of course, the 30th chapter. So in chapter 30, what we'll do there is all four of those key concepts, beginning with the first. Animals are multicellular eukaryotic heterotrophs composed of cells that specialize to perform specific functions. Most animals are diploid organisms that reproduce sexually, and most have nervous and muscular systems. The second being, animals evolved in marine environments, and most animal phyla still have members that inhabit marine environments. However, many animals are adapted to life in fresh water, and others to terrestrial habitats. The third, the common ancestor of animals are the choanoflagellates, you all. Choanoflagellates, fungi, and animals are monophyletic. This group is known as the Opiscothons. Nextly, the last and fourth being, biologists classify animals based on many characteristics, including their morphology or structure, features of their early development, and molecular data. So biologists agree that bilateral animals split into at least three major clades. And from here I'll move over to the 641st page. That is page 641. And in there I'll be in chapter what is called 31. So upon arriving there, we'll have that first and only key concept for you. Animals with asymmetry, radial symmetry, or biradial symmetry include the sponges, the cnidarians, the ctenophores. Sponges are characterized by collar cells and by loosely associated cells that do not form tissues. The cnidarians are characterized by radial symmetry, 2 tissue layers, and cells that contain stinging organelles. And ctenophores have biradial symmetry with 2 tissue layers and 8 rows of cilia, tentacles with adhesive glue cells. Those are called colloblasts. Up next, we'll be on page 676 with the 32nd chapter. That's page 676. And as you all arrive there, we'll be at the key concept 32.1. Echinoderms and chordates are the two most successful digital lineages in terms of diversity and number of species and number of individuals. And from here, move on to the 29th chapter, and you'll find that in class on page 603. The 29th chapter, I say, on page 603. With that, we'll be at key concept 29.1. Fungi are eukaryotic heterotrophs that absorb nutrients from their surroundings. Most grow as multicellular filaments called hyphae that form a tangled mass called mycelia, or a mycelium. With that, we'll do key concept 29.4. And it states fungi are of major ecological importance. They are decomposers, and they form symbiotic relationships with other organisms, and we'll also do that last key concept, being key concept 29.5. 29.5, fungi are major economic, biological, and medical importance. And from here, we'll move on to the 33rd chapter on page 710. I say again, the 33rd chapter on page 710. As you all arrive there, we'll do that first another key concept, and it's key concept 33.1. The structure of plant cells, tissues, and organs matches their functions. The vascular plant body is differentiated into 3 tissue systems: the ground tissue system, the vascular tissue system, and the dermal tissue system. And from here, we'll move backwards to the 27th chapter, and that'll be on page 563. That'll be on page 563. And upon arriving there, we will do the first 2 key concepts. So 27.1 is adaptations of land plants include a wax cuticle to prevent water loss, multicellular gametangia, stomata, and for most plants, vascular tissues containing lignin. It states there also that plants undergo an alternation of generations between a multicellular immunophyte and sporophyte generation. And then I'll do key concept 27.2, in that mosses and other bryophytes lack tissues and do not form true roots, stems, or leaves. And then we'll go to the 28th chapter on page 584. And upon arriving there, we'll go through each of those 4 key concepts. The first, seed plants which produce young sporophytes enclosed within seeds include gymnosperms and angiosperms. The next, gymnosperms produced Exposed ovules that, following fertilization, develop into seeds that are usually born in cones on sporophytes. And cones are the most diverse and numerous of 4 living gymnosperm phyla. The third key concept, angiosperms produce ovules enclosed in carpels. Following fertilization, seeds develop from the ovules, and the ovaries of carpels become fruits. And then the angiosperms donate land and exhibit great diversity in both vegetative and reproductive structures. And the last key concept of the 20th chapter is that gymnosperms evolved from ancestral seedless vascular plants. So angiosperms evolved from ancestral gymnosperms, possibly an ancient conifer. So as far as chapters 34, 35, 36, and 37, this will all come from your most recent lecture content. A great number of the multiple choice questions will come from that. The other portion of those multiple choice questions, and writing questions, of course, will come from those chapters with those key concepts, being the 53rd chapter, the 54th, the 55th, the 56th, the 57th, chapter 39, 30, 31, 32, chapter 29, chapter 33, chapter 27, chapter 28. So with that, you all have been assigned your homework already. The homework was assigned weeks ago for the final exam. Be sure that homework has been completed, and be sure that homework is turned in as soon as you all have either completed your final or even right before you take your final exam. It is for a grade. And please do make sure you all study, of course, Figure 28.13 that you all will find on page 595. This has been your instructor, Skylar Huff. If ever you need me, please know that you can email me at any time or contact me at my office telephone number, or even stop by, of course, after class or during office hours. Thank you once again, and enjoy your day.